I can even tell you that I was missing you already. Something was not right in the last 3 days. So welcome back, welcome back. And yeah, I will have a short introduction, what is waiting for us. And then Marius, I'll pass the screen to you for this coming back to the group activity. So during the weekend, our team was very productive reviewing the program, posting some videos, messages, writing articles on Facebook events. So also we have seen that some of you were claiming badges, watching the movie, which we recommended to prepare for this week's activity. So our educational process is still going. So we are happy that you are back. Still a bit scared because we do not know how many will connect, but we will hope that we will reach a regular group size of 40 people, which we have here. So for today's program, we will have a discussion in the first part of the day. So we have Deimante from Gargždai Open Youth Center. So there will be a video. Why we invited Deimante? Because her youth center is already providing a lot of activities, and what we see in the future, that one-stop shop youth center, so a youth center which is doing a lot of activities, is the future, which we see happening in 10 years. So Deimante will tell about that. Also soon, Eglė Došienė from the Department of Youth Affairs will join us to tell from the state policy and direction. So Eglė herself, she was a street youth worker, so she's a social worker herself, and she was working previously in religious community center in the neighborhood where I was growing up. So I was attending the church youth club in the past where she was working, and now she is Miss youth work in Lithuania, responsible for all the forms of youth work and distributing 1 million euros a year to youth centers and other institutions. So Eglė will soon come, but yeah, she had a COVID test because her children are going back to school, and then that's a quite interesting process which is happening now in Lithuania. Also, Andris has prepared a bit of input on one-stop shop youth centers, one-stop shop agencies, as they call it in Latvia. They were also in his organization doing it. So that's the first part of our training course. And in the second part of the training course, we want to give you space to discuss about future ideas and future projects. So some of you were already saying several times, Erasmus program has started. Deadline is end of May. Let's talk about projects. Let's find partners. So you'll have a nice opportunity to connect, find partners, maybe travel to Portugal. So it's really up on you and your agenda how you will organize. For me, Spain is also super nice to travel, and I love flying salads in Bulgaria. Okay, so that's the idea for today. And then later on, we will tell you a bit more what will happen in the upcoming days, because we have reviewed the program. So there is a final idea how it will look. Marius.
But maybe before that, we do Energizer.
Yes.
Yes, do it.
Marius, if you want.
No, I don't want, but okay. Let's do it later. But you were proposing it, but it's okay. Okay, guys, so I kindly invite you to the Slido page. You know how it works, slido.com, and the hashtag is 0730. We have prepared several questions to check how ready you are to continue this week. And the first question is, how excited you are now? What's your excitement level from 1 to 10? Yeehaw. And guys, you saw that we're transparent, and you make choices and we share it with the rest of the world. So somebody tried to fuck up our midterm evaluation and wrote 5, and we shared it with the rest of the world. So make sure you really how to say, share your real opinions, real data, real excitement level. So already 23 of you voted. Yes, Neris, you wanted to comment?
5 also can be a real evaluation, and that's 5 is also okay.
Yeah, okay. So 25 people voted. The average excitement level is 8.3. I think you are quite excited. That's good. That's very, very good. And also another question is to check, was this 3 days recharging? Did you manage to bring back your energy and motivation? So how recharged are you after 3 days break? Yeah, somebody got even more tired from this break. Yeah, my son is always saying like, but how can it happen? I was sleeping, but after sleeping, I'm even more tired. So the same with your break. Okay, quite diverse answers. Each grade has at least one of you choosing it. So average score is 7.1, but we will try to keep your energy level up. Okay, we would, because Neris was saying that we missed you, we know that you missed us as well, but what did you miss most during this break? Was it being part of international group, or maybe, you missed Zoom or Energizers or group discussions? So what did you miss most? Yeah, so 28 people made their choices. So obviously, what this opportunity gives us to be part of this international group, international community, international people. So thanks a lot for again joining us. So yeah, being together and also dreaming about youth center, wherever situation is back in your country, in your region, or in your town, together we can dream and help each other to push it forward. Also group discussions. Energizers people don't really miss, or Zoom. So okay, we might not need to push it. Okay, and then the last, no, not the last, I have 2 more questions. So what was the most exciting thing you did during the break? What would you like to brag about? People were reading, cooking, visiting church where it's possible. I became an uncle. My brother and his wife yesterday gave a birth. Visited grandparents. I hope it was not Lithuanians who were writing it, because it's still quite illegal in this country. We even have groups on Facebook, how to avoid these police checks on the roads and so on. So we're a very rebellious nation. Okay, people playing with dogs, it's okay. With families, playing football, started learning Turkish. Oh, a lot of exciting things you can do in 3 days. And playing a klavishta, for sure, it's Lithuanian. Eating, TV. Did you eat a lot? I don't know, in Lithuania, if you have 3-day celebration, somehow it also involves a lot of eating. I think I was quite okay, didn't eat too much, but okay, I think it's Neris who was testing electric cars, so at least he was checking them online. My son,
Offline
the smallest one, the 4-year-old, told me that we need a new car. He saw on some YouTube videos, sport car, so he said, okay, that should be our new car. So I think I will install parental control on his iPad. Okay, a lot of nice stuff you were doing, including cleaning basement. So I think now we can move on to some content discussion. And the last question before we will continue, what would you like to happen during these next 4 days? Is it discussions? Is it some concrete answers? Maybe partnerships? Maybe something else? What would you like to happen on the last 4 days of training? Dynamic exercises, partnerships, learn as much as possible. Eureka in the head. Eureka is a Greek myth. When you say, now I know how to do something. Concrete ideas for getting funds. We already discussed a little bit about finances, but also continue looking for concrete opportunities. The word partnership is getting bigger and bigger because you are mentioning it quite often. Friendships, networking, insights. Somebody wishes that master thesis would start writing itself. It doesn't happen. You need to sit and write. To have a concrete plan for youth center, to continue improving, getting insights, how to start it. Good. So a lot of nice expectations. So it depends a lot on your own engagement and motivation to make it happen. We also fine-tuned the program to make sure that all the questions can be answered and that we're bringing even extra people, extra experts to make sure that all the angles of this topic is covered. But yeah, also we have to support each other in this partnership and the networking. So especially today in the second session, we will give the time for that. So I hope that some real partnerships will start. Okay, thanks a lot for your ideas, for your thoughts. We will try to make it happen together. And now I'll pass the floor back to Nerijus.
Yeah, so let's make Marius' wish come true. So we have to do an energizer. So probably, as some of you know, Dovile has a birthday today. So we will have to all together sing happy birthday to you. Singing in Zoom is something very interesting. That's already a process of itself, which you can afterwards reflect for several hours. So, ladies and gentlemen, please turn on your microphones. Happy birthday message will not cut. And 1, 2, 3, we start singing together. Okay, are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much. Super.
This was a modern type.
In Lithuanian language, we have a word called kakaphonia. So that means a lot of sounds which are like this. Okay, so thank you guys for supporting. As we say, best gifts are eatable and drinkable in Lithuania. So don't forget to send something to Dovile. Okay, Andris, where are you, my friend? Are you ready?
Of course.
Very good. So the screen is yours.
Yes. Happy birthday, Dobila, again. I will give you a very small input about one-stop center, one-stop agency. They have like 100 different names because it's some sort of different kind of youth work style, especially for the youth centers. And we even did quite a huge research, and my colleague even did her master's degrees, master paper about this, and it's a huge field in which we can work. And then we saw like the hundreds of different names, how it's called in different countries. Maybe you can work with your reaction, thumbs up, those who have already heard about this one-stop shop center or one-stop agency. If you have heard about it, press thumbs up. Good. So I can tell whatever I want and you will believe me because you don't know what is it. That's very good. I have upper hand for this. Okay, I will give really small input because we will have a discussion later, and I will also later tell more about our approach, how we have developed it slowly, and we're still developing this kind of method. It will like be 10 minutes, and then we will continue with the discussion. Okay, so one station agency. We call it one station agency, but in some places you can hear it called one-stop shop or one-stop shop center or one station center. Like they're totally different kind of names. So if we take this one definition that we collected, then it's kind of one of the most official we could collect from other definitions is that this agency is some sort of set of public services, and also it can be not only the set of public services, but also usage of methods that is based on cross-sectoral cooperation, and that allows young person to get all necessary services in one place. What it means that in one youth center, it would be quite difficult to collect all the necessary specialists that the young person needs, starting from psychologists, mental health specialists, mentors, youth workers, social workers. I will later in next slide show you all the specialists that could be there. It would be very expensive because we already saw with 2 youth workers and 1 project coordinator, it already costs 50, 60, 70, 80,000 per year, and it's a lot. And not all youth centers can afford it. If it would be like 10, 20, 30 specialists, it would be very expensive. So this one station agency, the principle is very simple. You have a set of specialists to whom young person can come to. They can have a meeting, they can have several meetings, they can work for some part of the time till young person understand what is the problem and to which specialist that person could be sent. It sounds very easy because of course it's easy when a young person comes to you, you talk, you decide which specialist and you send that person. But the most difficult part is to create this network, because in the beginning you're just alone. Maybe you know some specialists in your city or your village or whatever, but to create this approach that all these specialists in your network are ready to work, to get finances for all this, to get this infrastructure for all of this, to get young people informed, and also to inform the specialists how this works, because when we started, no one knew what it was. Some people have heard about it somewhere in some rumors, but to explain them how this works and what is it, it was quite difficult. And that was the most difficult part to start it. So yeah, the specialists that could be there, career consultants, because a lot of young people are struggling with choosing their career. In Latvia, at least, it's supposed, like in each school, there's supposed to be career consultant, but mostly what they do, they just give a lot of random tests, you fill them out, and then they tell you in which profession you belong. And we, like, when we're working with young people, we understand that this method is kind of not properly working because first of all, no one wants to fill the tests all the time. Second of all, they usually those tests are not working properly, and youngsters in the end they're not satisfied. They don't feel this feeling that they've been heard and they understand what they want. Social worker, because the youth centers, there usually come a lot of young people who are from social risk groups or other risk groups, and they need some social work consultations. Also, youth worker who can just work with the young people. Psychologist, because we can have also, especially we have during also this COVID-19 time, we have a lot of these difficult cases when without psychologists we couldn't do anything. Project coordinator who can write projects and also help young people to coordinate, create new projects. Business consultant, it's the person who can help young people to create their own business also. That is very, very important because big part of them want to do it. Mentor who is just mentoring, and you see, and it can go on and on and on and on and have all these specialists everywhere. So yeah, how does it work? It works very easy. The young person can apply for a meeting, especially now in COVID-19 time. It's like no one can come randomly to the youth center, but before, young person can randomly come to the youth space. That person can talk to a specialist. It's usually me or some of my colleagues. We are 2 or 3 specialists at the same time on one place, and we call ourselves human connections. That we basically know immediately all the specialists, and we have this network, and we have already communicated and we know what each specialist or different organization is doing, and we can immediately understand where send this youngster, and then also give some guidance. Not only give the phone number or email and tell the young person, okay, here's the phone number, call that person and done. We also help to create this communication, create this contact to start this meeting, and so they would be more encouraged to go to this specialist and start, especially if it's with psychologist or mental health specialist. I've had situations when you have to encourage young person 3, 4, 5 times until that person finally writes or calls. Like calling to psychologists, it's the most difficult thing. They will never do that. They will write a WhatsApp message or that kind of something like that, but calling, never. Yes, then there is this meeting, and in the end, the best thing you do, you don't solve the problem of a young person, but you find the right specialist who can help to solve this problem. Oh, this photo disappeared. Okay. One place where we found that it works very, very nicely, and it started with career consultation mostly, is in Finland, this Ohjelma Navigator. It's Ohjelma Center. They have it all around in Finland. The biggest one is in Helsinki. It's quite huge. And they have this kind of style where a young person comes to you. You talk to the young person. It sometimes can be many consultations, because in one first meeting, it sometimes for a young person takes just to talk, just to be there. It's the first step. For some young people, it's a very huge step. Sometimes it can take up to 4 or 5 meetings. In some moments, young person can just also disappear, because later in few months, that person will come again back, and then he or she will be ready to communicate and try to find this specialist that can help. And I already want to jump to the place where I already explained how it works for us, but I believe that with Nerijus and Marijus, we have agreement that I will tell about this a little bit later, or maybe I can tell it already now. Nerijus?
You can do now.
You can do now, yeah.
Okay. Okay, I will go out of the presentation and I will show it to our webpage, because then it's easier like this. So basically how it works, young person goes to, especially now in digital times, young person comes to this place. He opens an application. We need we made it that it needs so small amount of data. We just need the name, age, and the phone number. And sometimes we ask the city because we're mainly working in Liepaja, and a lot of youngsters from other cities were also applying, but we don't have capacity to work with youngsters from the other side of the country. We just can't do it. So basically, this is the 3 pieces of information we need: name, age, and phone number. So basically, it's very anonymous because we cannot even identify which young person it is. For example, it can be Andres, 15 years old. We don't know which Andres is it. So that young person, then we have online or offline meeting. Offline meetings now we have only one-to-one in masks and outside of the youth center. Before COVID-19, they just came to the youth center. They knew that the place is open from 12 to 8 o'clock. They knew that someone will be there and that they could talk to. And then they could arrange these meetings with other specialists that they need. And later we moved them to two different kind of cases. First of all, there are easy cases that we move directly to the specialist after 1 or 2 meetings because the person already kind of understands what he or she needs. It's just very difficult for that person to understand where to find this information, because information is actually, and all the information and opportunities, there's a lot of them. They just don't know where to find it. And usually youth affairs specialist would do this thing, but in our municipality there isn't. So we just took this responsibility to ourselves. And then we have these difficult cases, those who are still, they don't know what they want, what they need, and they still need a little bit longer work with the mentor who can then help to understand, is it a problem with the family? Is it a problem with mental health? Is it a problem with working? Or does that person want to create a project, or they have drug addiction? Like, we cover all kinds of youngsters, starting from those who start zero waste national movements and actions, ending to those who are sniffing glue and drinking and smoking marijuana and everything. So we just send them to the right specialist. And for those difficult cases, we have a network of mentors. Here are not all the mentors because it's not allowed to do the photo sessions, so we don't have pictures of the rest of the mentors. But when they will allow to do photo sessions, then we will do the rest of the pictures. And then we send to the mentor, and young person can work with the mentor for up to 6 months even, but mostly it's 2 or 3 months. They meet every week and they have a meeting, they go outside, they run, they do some sports, they do whatever the young person likes, just to make this connection, get earn the trust, and then we can move that person to the specialist that it needs. For example, first we have a partner that is working with Russian speaking community. So if we get a youngster who is from that community, because we have 1/3 of our population in the city are Russian speaking, we can send that person to that organization. Then we have an organization that is working directly just with the drug addicts, addictions from computers, all kinds of addictions. We can send to that organization. If we see that the young person wants to start a business, we have 2 business incubators for youngsters. We have connection with them. We immediately can send them to one of those incubators where they can get money for their business idea, consultation, space where to do it, all kind of training courses and everything. If they want to work with international projects, we have persons mentor who is working with international projects, sending them there. If they want to do some sort of sports, we have 3 mentors who are working. One of them is working with BMX, with scooters, with these skateboards, everything, also in professional level. One is working with calisthenics, that is push-ups, pull-ups, and all kind of that stuff outside. And the 3rd one is just a fitness trainer who can tell you about food, about how to do sports, exercises, and everything. Then we have a specialist who can help you to find the job. Then we have specialists who can get you to the university. Then we have 3 specialists, one organization that we can send to that is working with those who are dropping out of school. So they don't know how this specific subject, or they don't have motivation to learn, and then they can get this private tutor, some sort of teacher that help them with the subjects that are difficult for them. So, and of course, we can flexibly move them all along from one place to another. We've had situations when that person youngs with a psychologist in addiction center, they solve their addiction problem, then we move them to entrepreneurship organization because they understand that they solve their problems, they want to start an entrepreneurship. They do that, they understand that their entrepreneurial idea is not that entrepreneurial and it's more like social projects, so they move to the project section, and in the end they create a project that is helpful for the rest of the youngsters. And here we have many situations like that. We have youngsters who come for just 2 or 3 consultations and they're fine. And we have youngsters who we work with 6 months and then only then they're fine. So it's really, really difficult network that we have built. It's very difficult to manage it because it's like 50 up to 60 specialists are involved together in the whole city in this network. And now we are mainly working on the last thing that because in the beginning everyone was doing it for free basically because it was just youth work and social work and it's a good thing to do and everything. But now we're working with the municipality, with projects, with NGOs, and we are involving already more and more money, and now all specialists are getting at least a little bit of money for that. So our goal is that in the end this one-stop shop, one-stop agency network will be sustainable. We will get enough money for them from the municipality, from the projects, and from the donations. And then it would be all the 50 or 60 specialists involved with the proper salary, with proper financiation also, because a big problem that we are still solving is how to give money to the youngsters or to buy them things that they need. For example, if there comes a person who wants to do some professional sports, but he comes from the poor family and he cannot buy a bicycle or shoes or something, we would have this specific amount of money, for example, 30 or 40 euros per month that we can spend on a youngster. But it's difficult because municipality, they have their bureaucracy, they don't allow it. Projects have their bureaucracy, they don't allow it. And only thing how we can do it is from donations. But since COVID-19 hit us, then we are getting almost no donations for now because companies don't have money for themselves, not even talking about donations. Yes, we are still working on a proper network presentation because we are spending so much work on so much time on creating this network and managing it that we haven't had time to fully create this networking map. But we are now currently having a project where we will create this networking map and we will finish it in the end of May. It will also be in English. So if you keep in touch with me and our organization and also through Nerijus and Marius, you'll be able to get this specific network map that we will create digitally and also physically. So that's 15 to 20 minutes into One Station Agency, but I could do, I think, 3 weeks straight about this topic.
Okay. Andres, we will have to do a separate training course on that if you can do.
We are planning in the next years when we will make it sustainable, like, because the first step is you understand how it works and how to do it. And the next step is to understand how to explain to someone else how it can work. Because we're still in the phase where we know how to do it. But if you ask us how to do it from the scratch again, it would take us some time to explain to someone, but in some years we will do it.
Okay. Okay, so Andres, thank you very much for your input for the start of our discussion. So for some inspirations and clarifying what we will talk about. So one of the concepts of the future of youth centers. So we have 2 guests whom myself I know very well and for a very long time. So we have Agle from the Department of Youth Affairs and also Deimante from Gargždai Open Youth Center, which is one of the circular municipalities in Lithuania around the big city of Klaipėda, who are doing a lot of activities. So now we will continue with the discussion on future of youth work, future of youth centers. So Andres will be also in this part of this discussion and one of the persons whom you can have a chance to give questions. But first of all, I want to give the floor to Agla and Deimante to introduce themselves. Who they are, what they're doing, what is their background, what is their organization doing. Today I was joking that Agla is spending millions of euros for youth work in Lithuania. So yeah, just to tell a bit who you are, because Andres we already know, but let's give the screen to ladies to introduce themselves. So Agla, I want to invite you the first, and Deimante, you will be the second one.
Hello to everybody. Firstly, I think I should say sorry for if I will make some mistakes in my English language, because I didn't had an opportunity for a long time to speak in English. So I think I will ask help for Nerijus and Marius if I will forget something. But I'm very glad to be here, and especially I was glad that I had an opportunity to hear you, Andres, speaking about one-stop shop centers and about cooperation, how it works. And if to go forward to answer into questions or to represent myself, so I am Agla, and I am from youth department who is responsible for the youth policy in Lithuania. What I am doing here, I am a chief advisor for all working forums in Lithuania, which we have when we are speaking about young people. And also one more, my responsibility is youth workers, which I think is the main part when we are speaking about work with young people. So this is my responsibilities. And if to speak more deeply, why department and why I am here. So as I told you before, department is responsible for the youth policy in Lithuania, and we are working in the 4 main directions. The first one is youth empowerment and participation. So it means that we are working with organizations where the biggest part of members is young people, young persons. Another direction is volunteering. We have a youth volunteering system, which now works already for 3 years and is getting bigger and bigger. We have intersectoral, interdepartment cooperation, so it's one very important part for us. And I think for my heart and for me, the most important is, of course, work with young people and working forms. I don't know how much we were speaking before, but in Lithuania, we have 5 main working forms, and all of them except one is working till now. So we have open youth work, we have mobile work, we have street work, we have youth information and consultation, and we have development of practical skills. This one, last one, we are ready to start, I think, in June. Then we will make some financial support and we will do it. So all four forms, except information and consultation of young people, they are based on low threshold services. So it means that for department, for us, it's very important, and we are trying to first to find young people, which is somewhere or where we don't belong in any system, to find their needs and to help them. So the main task for us is to make young person independent. So all our activities, all our plans, they are based on this. How to make young person to be independent even from the systems, independent of himself, to take care for his life. Sometimes if he needs just to have some help, but usually to feel independent. So I think for the start, it's enough. Yes, Nerijus.
Super, Agla. Thank you very much. Deimante, we want to invite you also to speak up. And okay. I will change the spotlight. Okay.
So yeah, can I start, Nerijus?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, hello all. Thanks for having me here. It's really nice to see all of you. You seem like a really positive people. So I'm really glad of being there, and I even connected earlier, so I participated in your energizers, so I'm really glad. So yeah, who I am at first, to introduce myself. So I'm Deimante. My background is that I was the youngster who grew up at the Gargžda Youth Center. Before it was not a center, it was just a place that the youngsters can hang on, and they only had like a one worker with 20 hours per week who worked with youngsters. Then I grew up, then I worked in a regional coordinator of youth employment. It was the project. It was called Discover Yourself, and I was the coordinator of the project. So I had like hands-on experience with the needs youth, with the ones like who needs to be found, who are not employed and not in the system. And then I started developing in the Klaipėda district region mobile work. Now it's going for 3 years. And then it happened so that I become also a youth center leader. I have all of the experiences from the youngster perspective as I grew up at the youth center, and now as all the administrational things and the projects and how to start that work with youngsters and all the bases, I think. So shortly, that is from us. Our youth center is financed, and like we're working on the municipality level, so like we are a municipal organization, and I also are a part of municipality youth council board, and so trying our best to create all of the connections for the region so everyone will know what we are doing and supporting us. So we're still growing. Thank you also for Nerijus' really nice presentation of our our works. We're still trying to work on that, and yeah, I think that's it for now.
Okay, thank you very much, Deimante. Guys, for your information, there is also already a video from Deimante's Youth Center and mobile work in our Facebook event. So at the end of our discussion, we will view it and you'll have a chance to give some questions. So my first questions to the participants of discussion, Eglė, Deimante, and Andris, also to you, would be like this. So the needs of young people are changing. Young people are changing in the global context. So how are the directions in the youth center changing? How their activities are changing? What do you see? What could you highlight? So Eglė, I will introduce, give you again the floor to you. Andris, you will be next, and then Deimante we will leave you for as a third one in the discussion. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, it's difficult to speak about young persons, how they are changing when we're having a COVID situation. So I think we won't run away from that. But if to speak what we see in Lithuania, we had some researches and they show that through past 10 years, in Lithuania, youngsters, they became more separated from their parents. They want to live more alone, not with the parents, but they are facing difficulties to find friends. They are not so active by being involved in youth organizations. They are not active in doing sports or physical activities. They are also facing a lot of challenges with psychological things. What we saw that new problem which we are facing is that parents, they are giving their own medicine to the youngsters because they think that it will help, for them to feel more self-confidence and so on. So this is also what we see. So another big issue for us is it's sexual education in Lithuania. We are facing a lot of big problems, and so the youngsters, they are starting to live sexual life more earlier as they used to do before. So this is, I think, if from my point to see the problems which they are facing are these, and they are changing. If we will speak about the COVID, so we are facing a lot of mostly problems with youngsters which are living in poor conditions, which are facing a lot of risks in their families. What we saw that a lot of young people, they came back from immigration. They came back to Lithuania, and now they are living with the parents where they wasn't used already before. They don't have job. A lot of young people, they lost their job. So now we have to plan all the activities, all our measures to help them. So, but yeah, maybe I will start from this because I will speak a lot. So Deimante, Andris, sorry.
Andris, the screen is yours, and then Deimante, you will be next.
I think I agree with all the challenges that Egla was describing, but one huge thing that I see when I've talked with, of course, it's a little bit with this stereotype that grass was greener and the skies were more blue some time ago. But when I talk to people who were youngsters in the 90s, especially in Latvia, when the Soviet times were collapsing and everything, there were very, very few opportunities to go somewhere or to do something. There were no youth centers, basically, no programs, no projects, no activities, almost nothing from all the things that young people have now. And problem that I see right now is that we are offering them a lot of different kind of opportunities for free. And there are so many of those options that they can choose that in the end, they want nothing because it's so full with everything that in the end they're tired from it. They don't know what they want. And they also sometimes lose this feeling of value that it's for free. And then they're like, I don't care. So for example, if we pay for the university, then we don't want to drop out because we are spending money for that and we don't want to lose that. But now we see that in most cases, we are then providing sometimes activities with prizes, with gifts that you can get in the end, and some cool gifts and everything, and very, very informational. We had like even meetings with, we created, for example, this cool event with parliament, with person from European Parliament who was elected from Latvia. And it was a quiz online, and they could earn some gifts and like cool gifts, not just a pencil and a notebook or something. It was some really cool things, and almost none of them wanted to participate because they were too tired, they don't want, they're not interested, etc., etc. So it's for me, the challenge is it's getting harder and harder to find the type of activities that they would be really interested in. It's not that they don't care about anything, but it's getting harder to find something that they would be like, wow, that's nice, I would like to participate. But when I talk to those who were youngsters in the 90s, they didn't have any options, so they were fighting for every small option there was available. So that would be a challenge, because for us, opportunities for money, for everything, it's we are never sad about that. We have all kind of like, we write projects, we have money from municipality, everything. There's like so many services that we provide for youngsters, but sometimes the issue is that the youngsters are not that as active as we would expect.
Okay, thank you, Andris, very much. Deimante, it will be very interesting to hear your view, because you yourself was a young person in the same center. Now you are working and being the director of the youth center. So how things have changed in this time?
I really agree with Andres. Actually, in that we're wanting, like as a youth workers, we want to give those youngsters so much and like so many opportunities, but sometimes I think we need to reevaluate what is their inner motivation and if they need it. And I think also the main problems are that not the problems, even I always questioning if that youngsters being the individualists, that they don't like, they want to leave parents sooner, that they have more opportunities sooner. Is that really a problem? Maybe it is for us because we have some kind of expectations for them. And I think the main problem it is in our society that everyone has expectations for young people. We all want them to be motivated. We all want them to, I don't know, achieve something, became, I don't know, superstars, write projects and be like really socially, I don't know, everything. Like we expect from them things. And what we are trying to do in our center, from like to solve that problem, we just let them be. Like to feel bored. Like our youngsters now don't have the opportunity to feel like boredom, to think like what we should do, because everyone is just giving them opportunities and opportunities and opportunities. Then their brain doesn't work like to create things, to solve some problems, because everything seems that it is to be. But I think the main problems for our youngsters is to protect them from, I don't know, maybe even that social media, all the stuff, because I think before, as we grew up, like we compared ourselves to, I don't know, the girls or boys at school, like what clothes they had, what, like, I don't know, activities they have, and what stuff they had, and how they lived. Now the youngsters are living one foot on the social media platforms. And I think that is the main problem, that they are comparing themselves to, like, I don't know, Kim Kardashian, or like, I don't know, some kind of like huge superstars. And all of those expectations of the influencers and stuff sometimes gives a lot of pressure to them, how they need to look. And that contains even the mental health problems, and those expectations for youngsters from us and from the whole society creates, I think, the bigger problems for them. There's also another point for me. I think it's like a different kind of problems. It's in the city and the rural areas, and there are like more villages, and the youngsters there still don't have a lot of opportunities. I know from that one, because we're living, like, we having our region is original in that way, that we have a city when there is everything that she needs. Even the Klaipėda, like third biggest city in Lithuania, is really near, like 15 minutes. But we still have a rural areas when like the buses go once a day and they don't have any opportunities. And because we are post-Soviet country, there is that a really big gap from that youngsters who are like really individual and living in the 21st century and know their opportunities and know that they can choose, and they choose not to, or they choose to do something. And there is still like kids and youngsters in villages who don't even know what to do and just do what their parents said, and the parents sometimes lack of social skills and stuff. So from my perspective, there's a lot of points of problems that needs a lot of time to see.
So, Deimantė, you really well moved on to my next question: how much the activities belong from the social cultural context? And then, as you said, in rural areas it might be different reality than in a bigger town. So, my next question would be to all of the speakers: so, do you see any differences between rural youth, city youth? So how much does the context, socio-cultural context, have an influence to the activities in youth centers and mobile youth work? Andris, I would maybe start from you, because you were, to my knowledge, working in youth centers in small towns, in big towns, so really also in different parts of Latvia. Did you notice something different? Then we will go to Eglė, and then final comments will be from Deimantė.
Yes, before I was working in south of, I'm still in the south of Latvia. Just now I'm most to the west, but I was working in really rural areas where there basically no public transportation and everything. It was very, very different from where I'm working now. And now I'm working in the third biggest city of Latvia. So it's very, very huge difference. And in the rural areas, I could really see that there's a lack of opportunities. There it really was like that, because when I started working there, no one knew what is a youth worker, what is youth work, what is projects, anything. And I went to the villages. I did a lot of mobile youth work, and there was really this. I was actually really influenced from work of from materials of Nerijus and Marius, how they were showing how the mobile youth work in the countryside could be done. And I did it just like they were explaining it, like you just take a car, you fill it full with the games, with activities, stuff like that, and then you go to every village, each village every day. That's what I did. And when you even play some games for them, it was like, wow, someone is doing it for us. Here in the city, you can really feel that there's a huge amount of opportunities, And it's really, really difficult to provide them with something because, of course, there's more youngsters than in the countryside, way more. Like now in my city, there are more youngsters than there were people in the municipality that I was working before. So it's a huge difference. But yeah, the opportunities they have here is a huge variety, and it's difficult to involve them. It's not like that we create activities that we want and then we invite youngsters. It's just really difficult to find the things that they like and that they want. For instance, in the rural areas, we just give them at least basic and they're already happy because no one has done anything with them before.
Thank you, Andris, very much. Agle, and then Deimante.
I agree with Andris about the different kind of opportunities or support which can get. Deimante already was started to speak about it. When a young person lives in the city, big city or in a village, but I think it also depends even on municipalities. Do we see the young person as an important part of society? If we don't, so we won't, it won't happen in any city or in any village. So first, the leaders of municipalities should see that the young persons, they are a very important part of their society. What I see also the challenges, if we will speak about my point, for example, I think that in small towns, in villages, there are a very important part, like a community. They are taking a very big part of all work with young people. So this is also important part, because in the big cities there are usually no communities, or they are very small and they are not taking care, or they are even do not mention any young person. So like this is a very important part, I think, also when we are speaking about the help for young people, because in small villages, there are communities still, they are controlling, they are watching, they are like a police watching, staring at you when you are coming as a mobile worker. They are looking, what are you doing here? Will you be our enemy or you will be our friend? So it's also a very big part, and the youngsters, they are living there. So I think this is also very big problems, which, and of course, the main thing, I think it's about the municipality who is responsible, because Deimante is from very good municipality, which I think is taking care of, if we compare with other municipalities in Lithuania, so I think, this point from mine.
Okay, thank you. So Deimante, a short comment from you, and then it will be my last question about what the future will bring to youth work. And then Sanita, you'll be the first one invited to ask your question. So Deimante, the floor is yours, and then we'll discuss about the future.
Okay, so I really agree with Andris and Agle. Municipality's position, and all of the people who live in that municipality, they need to take their part. And what can I say for us? What helped to bring the good, that social-cultural environment for us, like workers and for the youngsters? It was all of the how to even say that communication, and like we still have all of the communication with every institution who touches youth, like if it's schools, if it's another social centers, police and stuff, like we try to communicate with all of them. And it was a lot of work for like 6 years, and we're still doing it every year, like 2 times per year, doing those meetings with all of the people who work with youngsters in our region. But it pays off, but it's a big work, and I think every municipality can become a better one. But the people who work with youngsters and who bringing that flag of the youth work with them need to stand tall and hold their perspective for it.
Okay, thank you very much. So one remark from me also, in the previous days before the holidays which we had, we were discussing about examples of Lithuanian youth centers, and one of the comments was that you know, Lithuania, Latvia, we are quite monocultural countries. We don't have second generation migrants, so young people who were born and with this background and already attending the youth center. So that also has quite a big influence. So talking about the future, I don't want to look in 20 years perspective. Maybe 10 would be enough. In 10 years, maybe in the big cities, we will have this cultural difference and migrant youngsters already entering the youth centers, maybe not. So Agla, what do you think? What the 10 upcoming years will bring for youth work in Lithuania?
I hope that we will have youth worker as a legal profession, firstly, because I think it's from us, it's like not fair to speak about how good youth work is in Lithuania when we even do not have a youth worker profession, like, you know. So I think I would like after 3 years this to happen. Secondly, I hope that whole Lithuania will be filled of all working forms with young people, because I saw that you already saw our mapping with open youth centers, but there is only 25 municipalities which has other working forms. It means mobile work or street work. So if I would have a possibility, yeah, I would like to give all the money, as Neri told, which I have or even which I can dream of, to give for the organizations to fill, because I believe that Andris was speaking about that people is youngsters, they are not interested in suggestions which we have, but in another part, I think that sometimes we do not find out what are the basic needs from their point, because we can suggest a lot of things which can seem to be like nice for us, but not for the youngsters. Sometimes, like as Deimante said, we need just to stay and to do nothing, to get to feel bored. So this point, and if to speak more, like, so okay, so services, they should be divided by the age, provided for the age. Especially what we see that young people who are aged between 20 to 29 years old in Lithuania, they do not have so many services, or even like they do not have even special services. As I told you, practical skills development, and we are dreaming about one-stop shop centers in Lithuania. Yeah, and this we are thinking to have after like after 7 years already. So from the start this, because as you go deeper into the forest, you are finding more things to do and to create. So yeah.
Agla, I will give you an additional question. Vitaly from Moldova is asking, what type of education for youth workers exists in Lithuania? So you started to answer it, so it would be a very
Do you want really me to start? Yeah, all different kind of, from social work, social pedagogue, psychologist, till computer specialist, till I don't know, all of kind of, but we have some requirements for the workers who work open youth work, who in open youth centers, a mobile work team, and in street work. So we have some strict requirements for them. We have to have some education, special education. So, but yeah, but you can find in Lithuania, we have a problem that we have different kind of specialists, different kind of organizations, which is under different kind of structures. So yeah, as I told you, as more deeper.
And also, I know because you are organizing this specialized training for people working with youth, 5-module training, which is basically by your institution accredited, certified as a youth worker training, what we have for now.
Yes, Deimante can speak more about them because she was one of the first attendants in these trainings. So yeah, we have, and I see already the question where it's possible to read these requirements for youth workers. So in English, there's no, I think, but if you will need, I can send you information like.
Yeah, or we can tell.
Yeah, you can tell.
Quite obvious thing, which we know, so very particularly for different forms, there are different requirements, so it's quite easy to tell. Also, it is linked to funding requirements. If you want to get a grant from AGLIS institution, you have to meet these formal requirements. But as we were saying, in Lithuania, you work in at least team of 2 youth workers, so often the requirement is at least for one, that one of them has to do it. An exception is with street work. So for street work, it's for both of workers. These requirements are applying. So Deimante, let's go to you. You can tell how it was to be part of the youth worker training program, and also what do you think the future will bring for youth work? And Jorgen is also raising a question.
Okay, so that training program was really a big trampoline to realize what is going on, because we don't have, as Agla said, as a profession, like a youth worker, you cannot go to the university and study. I think it gave me a lot of things. I think the most and the best perspective is that the youth workers should not focus on, I don't know, games, boards, or like, I don't know, money. It depends, like we need to be a strong human beings and a strong people that youngsters can rely on, because young people do not come to the youth center for the walls or the games. They come for the workers. So I think that was the main point. And we had a lot of modules. It's also like social work, psychology, all the methods, like reflection methods and stuff. So I think it's a really good trampoline to start and to feel good and to know what you are doing, so everyone would have the same point of view, because every youth worker mostly comes from a different field. The ones comes from this like social work. There are like another ones who don't have any like even social education, but they just really love youngsters and they want to like do good for them. And it gives that trainings that the department does, gives a really like one perspective that everyone would have and share the same point of view about the youth work in Lithuania. So yeah, and about the future, I think I would say shortly, I hope that we can do what the youngsters need, not what we want them to do, but that we can provide them activities that they need and to help them. I don't know, I think the main thing is to let them feel safe in whatever environment and whatever like they want, but they need to feel safe and they need to feel welcomed and that they are part of the society. So yeah, I think that's it for me.
Thank you. Andris, very short comment, and then we go to Sanita and Jorgen.
About youth work in Latvia in 10 years, yes?
Yes, what do you see will happen?
I think digital tools, digital youth work will take a huge part, but I think it's in all fields in our lives now. And another thing I think that will be very important is that like some of my colleagues said that, oh, it's becoming worse, that youngsters are having more and more mental health issues and everything. I'm like, nope, they're not having more. It's just we pay attention more to them, because before it was like, come on, if someone was feeling bad, you just told them, come on, get your shit together and go. Now we're trying to understand where the problem comes from. We're trying to solve it, and it feels that there are more of them, but it's actually the same amount. And I feel that in the future, like 10 years ago, depression in Latvia was not considered a sickness. It was considered being when you have not enough work, then you are depressed. That's what 10 years ago was defined as depression. Now it's a sickness and you have to deal with it. You have to work with it. So in the future, I think we will more and more pay attention. And I think it's for the good, because like the first step in solving any problem is understanding that there is a problem. So that, I think, will be a huge thing in the next 10 years.
Yeah, I more than agree with you. Myself, I wrote several comments from my visions, what I envisioned to do. So me and Marius, 3 years ago, we went to Finland to a study visit on digital youth work. And one of the youth workers was introducing a sex bot, which they were using in YouthWork. So we were really interested, okay, let's do a project. Let's make a Lithuanian sex bot to do sexual education. And then it would be really a tool, a nice thing to do because it's a taboo topic. But then when we started analyzing and discussing, we found out that at that time, SexBot would cost 20,000 euros. And the main result of it, it's a nice energizer for 5-10 minutes to be able to start working with the topic of sexual education. So when you weight the cost, okay, a bot, it's a robot, you know, it answers difficult questions, but still it's quite how to say, a nice idea, but practically probably not so useful for such a big investment. What I would like to see, maybe some kind of specialized youth centers in Lithuania. We were offering one factory to open the technical youth center linked to engineering, design, robots. So it would work on open YouthWork methodology, but also would have, you know, workshops with robotics and engineering stuff. That would be nice. And for myself, what I want to work in the next 7 years, a musical youth center. So we have an example in Norway, where in a bomb shelter, they have a musical center, youth center, which is focusing basically working with bands. So I could imagine that something like that could be opened in Lithuania in the future. Sanita, you are raising the hand already for half an hour. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I have a comment regarding this, the future of youth center, and also what I have observed about the need that is probably not yet recognized of young people. And what I mean is there's a interest in spirituality, but not like in the past. You would not become a priest, but it could be like a temporary idea of young people being like healers for maybe when other interest groups like elderly people, or like they want to give space for transformation. And I've noticed this particularly with those young people who have mental health problems or are the hardest. Sometimes they have the ability to give a lot of space to others for healing, but if that is not recognized, it's not such a immediate social activity, then they get stuck for a very long time in seeking their identity. And that's something in particular that I'm interested in, because me, myself, I have 17 years of path of spirituality. I could say that I'm now studying theology, but I already had interest 17 years ago, but I thought that's something like for losers or for something strange. It's not for me. And also for feminine identity, you would not consider you can become a priest, but now there are female priests in some, so it's not a career someone would easily recognize. So I'm just encouraging people to be open to understand that sometimes, you can give activity to lead some meditative practice for other young people, or even elderly people, or someone else could help to heal themselves or find strength. So, and also to reflect to I think Nerijus said about this young people being shadow of society. That's precisely the reason why they have the capacity to heal others and reflect this shadow, or sort of merge this unconscious bridge that we still have. So
maybe I can comment. I like the idea that Sanit, you were telling about young people cooperating with elders. We are right now working on a project with the municipality where young people would be mentors for the elderly, to first of all have this connection with other people. Otherwise, they're just alone in their space wherever they're staying. And second, they could help to catch up with the things that are happening in the world, with the technology, with the news, with all the stuff that is happening around the world. And like this director of the elderly house, and there's even a council of old people or something like that. That's what they call themselves. And they're really interested in this project, and we're planning to implement it this year. So I like the idea.
Yeah, Minvydas, the Lithuanian participant, his youth center, Žalianamis in Vilnius, they are working with these kind of practices. So Sanita, you could cooperate with that youth center in Vilnius and maybe develop future projects, youth exchanges and ideas. So thank you very much for the comment. Jorgen, you're raising your hand. So your comment, your question.
Yes, first I have a little comment. And by the way, to Sanida, there is I don't remember her name, but there is a lesbian bishop in Norway that's very outreaching. She's breaking down a lot of barriers about what kind of gender stereotypes and roles people can have in religion. So maybe it's even possible to contact her. What I wanted to say is that I have a question linked to it. Guys, when you establish something or a youth center, it's very easy to think that the youth is not so interested. But the dark side of the information society is really that it's information overload. There's information everywhere. It's all claiming to be valid and important. So information is almost worthless. It's very hard to get through with it. So you have to really show something. And usually by the time of lunch, people have decision fatigue. We have a spent limit of how many decisions, how many yes and no we can make during a day. But when we're drowned in advertisement and information, that gets spent very easily. So it's kind of a conflict, because when you with municipal funds, for instance, establish something, it's a high demand that you provide a lot of content, a lot of things happening, a lot of visibility, a lot of social media activity, but that sometimes crashes with the need the youngsters actually have to just please have a little break from all of the bloody decisions that is all the time being pushed on them. So sometimes the seeming disinterest can simply be that it's too much information already. They just need a break. I find that a difficult thing to deal with sometimes, because small local projects usually need a lot of video, a lot of photo, a lot of documentation, and sometimes it really conflicts with people's need for just having a break from choices and information. So I wanted to ask about how you deal with the balance. I want to hear some other experienced people say something about that. And I also want to ask to Egle and Amanda about the 18 to 30 age group, especially in your rural areas, because, for example, in Norway, I see very little in that regard. The Norwegian definition of youth is around 12, 13 to 18, then it stops. You're on your own. Mostly. There is sometimes something in the city, but not much.
Okay, so who can answer Jorgen's question about overload of information and how to give a space for young people without decisions and no ideas, and then services for young people 18 up.
I think I can. Because it's also like connected. So yeah, I really agree with Jorgen about the information overflow. I was saying that maybe youngsters sometimes just need a space to safely be and not do anything. So I really agree. And with doing that, I think it's still work if you're just creating a safe space, not only like creating events. And it's important for the youth center, for us, our youth center. The main aim is to provide social services, not to organize events or like create projects. It's like the side things, but they are not for us like the prioritize or the main ones. So every time we're just letting the youngsters be, we counting that as if they feel safe, if they coming to us still after being safe, it's our like positive reaction from us that we're doing our job goodly. And we also have a psychologist. I also wanted to say like about about that, Andres was saying that the youngsters difficultly go to the psychologist, like to register to go. We creating a method where our psychologist just hangs out with youngsters. Like they doesn't have to go in the I don't know, the cabinet to register before. He can just play, I don't know, games with the psychologist, gain the trust, and just be. And then after that, the psychologist can lead by yourself. Maybe you want to have like individual consultation with me or like to talk. It takes out the pressure from the youngsters. Like I need to go to the psychologist and have that stigma that you need to be like really sick to go somewhere. So yeah, we're trying to eliminate that stigma. And about activities and youngsters from 18 to 30. So we personally, we now trying to work really hard with the young families. Let's count as that. At first, it's like, I don't know, bazaars of the, I don't know, child clothes exchanging because we have a park. Then like we can provide like, I don't know, open doors day and like activities outside, because now in the collective we still have like young moms who can like provide information on those like mommies Facebook groups that we have a lot, and like just give information. And now we're trying to work with the psychologist with the art therapy and stuff. Especially we're creating that it's the for young families, but mostly like people who have younger kids. They come firstly, mothers come, then the dads come, and like then they including more and more. So like we're still trying that, but I think it's still a lack of the information, especially for the young moms, like how to deal with themselves, especially with the mental health after like giving birth and like all those like stuff. So we're trying to go from that side, starting with the like family orientation games and like bazaars from selling small children clothes for free, just like putting on tables, and that's it. So yeah.
Mhm. Thank you, Deimante, very much. Aglia, let's pass the screen to you. Luis, I see your question, hand raised.
I totally agree with Jürgen and Deimante about young persons and a lot of information from them. And also, I think that youth workers, they are facing a problem with finding a lot of different kind of information and filling the papers. You know, I see sometimes that a very big part of their work is just writing the papers and announcements, what we have done, because we have to prove their job to municipality, to others. So from my point, I didn't told I'm social worker. My background is a social worker. So when I came here in a bureaucracy institution, I told that our aim is to help workers to make as less papers as we can. Yes, of course, we still have to require to fill the paper, some of them. But mobile workers, street workers, when they are outside, they won't ask young person, please, can we make a photo with you, or can you fill me the papers because I have to work, you know. This is like total, I won't say that words, it's like etc. So this is, but that's sometimes I'm facing a lot of difficulties because my Indeed and my my part of where I am, they are even being in a big conflict between of them. But if to go back to the services for 29 from 18 to 29 years old young people, I think even this group we should divide, because there's young persons who are from 18 to 24 and from 24 to 29, because in Lithuania usually till 24 young people, they are studying in university, in other institutions. So what are facing, I see what issues have villages and big cities. There is some of them, for example, that young people who are going to study to the big cities, they are not coming back to small cities. So it means municipalities, they should make services, or they should do something to help young people to come back into their villages. And what we are trying from my department, we are asking youth coordinators in municipalities to fill all the measures which they have, for example, for young people to come back. So there are a lot of different kind of measures where some municipalities, they are giving scholarship for students when they are studying. And they have an agreement that after studies, that young person will come to municipality and he will work in that place where in that kind of what he was studying. So, and etc. etc. So there are a lot of measures which municipalities are giving for young people to come back. Another group, 24, 29, yes, it's mostly young families, but now as families are getting, as young people are getting married later and later, so it means that young people just living together. So it means that we have to help them to make some creative things. So it's also not about it's social services, it's culture services, it's recreative areas where we can find them friends to be together, to stay together, some parks, some interesting activities. So there are a big part of services which I think municipalities should do to get these people just to stay them in their small town. So a lot of things, but yeah, but for example, what we also are facing some services for especially one target group, it's for young people who is living after foster care. So, or the family. So this age, this group is also very needed to have some special guidance, mentors. So even the flat where we can live to help them to build their social skills to live. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. One of the nice examples which we have in Lithuania in region, so there is the support from the state to get an easier bank loan for a young family to live in the region. So it's even, accommodation is linked to that. And for a very long time, we thought that accommodation should be part of youth policy. So in the last 5 years, it became in Lithuania. Luis, your question.
So I have a question, but just I will give a small example of the situation here, as it is a rural area, and I think that all of you were mentioning some characteristics of the situation. Because just yesterday I was in the youth center and I was talking with the coordinator of the youth center, and I realized that all the topics and all the stuff that you are commenting, it's happening here and in that specific rural area. We have around 8,000 people in the town, and the budget for the youth center, it's around 6,000 euros. It's for the municipality. And there is only one person that takes care of the whole youth center. From 16 years old, there is no any more young people participating. It's only under 16, mostly. Maybe can come just one young person from 20, or maybe someday 24 or something like this. But more or less, this is the situation. Also, the activities and the opinion of the coordinator is just that they were trying to do activities for this age between 16 to 30s, but no young people was coming. Mostly because of the people that are 16 to 18, they lose all the interest to go because they prefer to go to places where they can be hide of adults, as Nereus was commenting in the first day. They want to have their own independence, and they don't find the safe space in the youth center. But as well, from 18, mostly of the people are going out, or they are working, or they are going out of the town. So these people are not coming usually to the town. So also you cannot implement activities like usually for them. And by this situation, what happened is that municipality and even the coordinators are losing the motivation to do activities for these ages. And the only thing that we saw that was working, it was the mobilities, European mobilities. By summer or some times when all these people are coming from the university and from the big cities, are the only chance to gather them more or less by the activities that the municipality is doing already. And the challenge that we found, and we were talking at yesterday with the coordinator, it was about the trucks. Because I just proposed to them 2 ideas for this garden that they have. They have a garden, but they have nothing. And I was just proposing to have benches, for example, to sit down or to have a small farm. And the municipality is always answering to them that we cannot have benches because young people are going to come and they're going to start to smoke and to drink alcohol and whatever. So I don't know if any of the associations of youth centers that are here, like what is the policy with this stuff? Because if you don't have benches, they're not going to come because they don't have the space, the safe space, because they are meeting in the dark of the park, actually. So if you don't accept the alcohol, they're not going to come. But if you accept the alcohol, you have risks with the stuff of the minors, blah, 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 blah.
So what would be your question, Luis?
So what is the policy that you have in your youth centers with the, for example, alcohol upper 18 years old, for example? Because obviously all the drugs, I guess, are not legal in the country.
That's a very good question. For the last 5 years, we had a very big discussion. If a drunk youngster comes to a youth center, do we kick out or we don't? So it's really a burning question also in Lithuania. So Agle, if I can give you the question to you, and then Andres is raising the hand. So Agle and then Andres.
If to speak about Lithuania reality, in youth centers, what shows us the reality that mostly there is coming young persons who are till 18 years old. Usually, this is more than 70% of whole centers, open youth centers in Lithuania. So it means that if we work with this problem, we usually work individually, not in open youth center as so it usually workers, they are taking it as a case, each young person, and we work like as a case managers. So in Lithuania, there are only few youth centers which has young people who is coming older than 18 years old. So I think that one of the biggest issues, it's in the bigger cities, in big cities like in Vilnius, in Klaipėda, in Kaunas. So street work is one of the answers to do that, because they are working with prevention. They are speaking with young people who are using drugs. We are speaking with them and asking, do you know what to do when you will feel not good? Or do you know where you can ask, where you can, this is about more cooperation, not about responsibility to work, because I think also our workers, not all of them, but mostly, they do not have competences which you need to work with this specific problem. So this is also, and we are also cooperating with Department of Narcotics. So we are sharing information and so on. But if about youth centers, so mostly there are young people who are coming till 18 years old. And
and in Lithuania, you cannot drink alcohol till 20. And then another thing is drugs, all of them are illegal and quite strongly prosecuted. So no go.
Because usually when you are older than 18 years old, sorry for just interrupting, social worker take care of you. If you are not working, if you're not so there are a lot of others who are trying to join.
Andres, you were raising hand.
Yes, if the question is about more than those who are adults, more than 80 years old and can buy alcohol, then for us, we have this experience that they don't come to the youth center, but I meet them a lot in individual consultations, not only when they're with alcohol, but also when they're full with glue and other kind of weird things. So I've had this in many situations when youngster comes to me and tells me, oh yeah, I had this, I'm drunk today or something, and then we have a talk. In youth center, never. What we have one experience in Latvia, but not with me, that was, I think, in the school. He was already 18 years old, because you're in secondary school when you're 18 years old still. And they had a class evening or something like that, and he came with alcohol drunk, and the teacher told him to go home. It was winter, he was going home, and he lost in the forest and died. So now The thing that everyone, especially teachers and youth workers, is suggesting not to kick the youngster away when he comes drunk, especially in the winter, but to take care that either you take him to the police station or you take him home, depends. If it's aggressive youngster, then of course we take that person to the police station. If it's someone who we know and he's just a little bit drunk, I usually try to take care of that person to get him or her home. And then we have a talk later with that person, but kicking out, but I've never had situations when I have to kick out someone because they respect and they don't come drunk or with alcohol or something. I think we had 1 or 2 cases, but we quickly established that no, it's not for this, and we had a good talk, and so yeah.
Okay, thank you. Dovile, your question, Jorgen, and then Anna has a question in the chat, and then we will be closing the discussion.
Yeah, I have not a question, but we have in Kaišiadorys region, we are making now this system that we're gonna have a coordinator. So if, and first of all, the youth worker is gonna be trained to find out if it's the risk, if the young person is in a risk of drug addiction, then we have a coordinator. And so we bring him to a coordinator, and coordinator gonna find out what he needs. Is this a social problem and we need a social worker? Is a psychology problems, or is it addiction? So we have, instead of, and we are working this with the police, so instead of putting them to jail because they are using drugs, we first of all sort what is the problem and what this person actually needs. So we are in the process making this. It's still not made it, but yeah, we're working. I think it's called uncrime or decriminuoti. No,
Decriminalize.
yeah.
Okay, thank you for your comment, Dovile. And as you hear, there is no Zoom proper meeting without someone drilling something or fixing. So it happens always. Jorgen, your comment or question?
Quick question. First, I have to also apologize because just like in Dovile's situation, there's construction going on here. I wonder what is the situation with extremism and preventive work with extremism in Lithuania, and maybe someone else has something with youth groups and extremism. I think especially during COVID, that is going to be a very interesting situation when we get back to work. Radicalization, not necessarily extremism, but in general.
This issue, mostly are in Lithuania are taking care our how to say our police and department under the police. So kariuomenė, the military. They have even special department, which is taking care. They have special programs. They are going to the schools, to some regions. They see that it is happening, and they have created some programs which they are doing. But in youth centers, I never had this question, never workers they raised this question, never, through all trainings which I had. So no, at this moment.
Jorgen?
That's interesting, because in my line of work, that's very important. It also sounds a bit hard if military and police are the ones dealing immediately with it.
Yeah, but what you have to understand, in Lithuania, both the military and the police, they have youth movements, youth wings, and they're doing quite a lot of non-formal education, I would say, involved into these activities. And then if we will talk about extremism, so in our case, it's a bit more, you know, in the Russian speaking communities, which is happening. So it's quite particular local context. Me and Marius, we worked a lot with the military, the Ministry of Defense in their program. So there are very nice educational activities. Marius, I see you're raising your hand, and Neringa is raising her hand also.
Yeah, well, in a couple of hours ago, we were speaking with in Lithuania, we don't have too much diversity, very strong and close ethnical groups. So the topic of radicalization is not very really kind of active and big. Also in Lithuania, we chose to talk about active citizenship as a way to prevent radicalization or young people doing crazy stuff. So somehow we try to turn this around into a positive note. And I would say the biggest impact of COVID, what we see that we will need to talk about, you know, fake news, propaganda, vaccination, anti-vaccination. So in that regard, for sure, a lot of efforts will be needed. Yeah.
Neringa?
Just into the topic about radicalization, with small comment that not only military and police should take about this topic to cover, but the cross-sectoral cooperation between youth department and those organizations should be implemented in some points as well. Because the youth department knows the youth policy and the youth itself better than the military, and the methods they are providing and adapting is quite different. And speaking about my personal professional experience in the field of cooperation with military staff is, I wouldn't say that they adapt too much non-formal education, in fact, and military is military. This is not about non-formal education. And even their campaigns and their actions are not about educating, it's about preventing more. And when it comes to preventing, it comes to some other impact.
Okay, thank you, Neringa, very much. Anna has a question in the chat. So from your experience, what strategies you suggest to attract young people in rural areas? Mobile street work are more efficient than setting up a youth center? Are other forms more efficient than setting up a youth center in a rural area?
Are you looking to me to answer this question?
Probably. Yeah,
Okay.
Egle, probably to you.
Yeah, because I was trying to sit in the silent and to leave a place for somebody else to speak. Yeah, in Lithuania, we have a thinking that street work is needed in big cities. And mobile work is needed in villages and small cities. There is no infrastructure for young people. So it means that mobile workers, they are going to those places, there is no other infrastructure for young people. Is it the only answer to help them? No, but is it the right one? Yes, I think that it is right. It is one of them. But the aim of the service is not to attract, is like to help to find these young people who are living in, who are not having any activities. And if only young person wants to attract him and to invite, because I think we were speaking before that sometimes we don't know really, or we are thinking that we know what young people need. If to speak from the side of financial support, I think that this is also one answer for the municipalities, that to have a mobile team is better than to establish a center in some small area. Because, for example, there are mobile workers who is coming, and the youngsters who are coming into the meetings with mobile workers, into activities, they are from different villages. around 5-10 kilometers. So if to think from my point, so we need to establish a lot of youth centers, a lot of youth open spaces for young person who will stay, for example, who will be only 5-10, and after 5-10 years, they will even leave their village. They will go to bigger city to live. So I think that for this moment, the mobile work is a good answer and better than to establish a youth center. But first, we should make a very good research which kind of services young person needs in that concrete territory or village.
Thank you very much. Deimante, you are a practitioner.
Yeah, so I can agree with Agle that first you need to know that areas, like in that area, what the youngsters need. And the mobile work is not even like, it's good. The youth center, it's only like more expensive. the mobile work is cheaper because you can have like 2 people who works, like if it's like a full-time job, they can work in 5 different or even like 10 different areas, and you only need 2 people. If you have a youth center, then you need to have like administration and like somebody who takes care of, like, I don't know, technical even things, and like then youth workers and stuff. So the youth centers are always a better option because it can give more opportunities, but the mobile work is cheaper.
Okay, thank you very much. So Agle and Deimante, as we will be saying goodbye to you, so maybe there is a final remark from your side, something you would want to wish our amazing group of 45 people from 13 different countries on establishment of youth centers, something to motivate, final remark.
Okay, so I think that there's just what I want to mention, or just to make the remark that there is no one right answer into the problem solving. Or I think what you need to be creative, to really to look longer time to find the needs of young persons, to find the issues which they are facing, and only then to try to solve what is the best way to do. Is it to create youth center? Is it to have a mobile team? Is it better to have a cooperation between other institutions and so on? So just I think that first we not should hurry up, just to stay longer. And also I think what I saw already very important, that all parts who includes or who works with young people, we should cooperate a lot. So it means that municipality, young youth workers, and even researchers, we should cooperate all together to find out what young persons need and to help to make the services as much suitable as young people need. So my wish is just for you just to be creative and to look for the things which needs your young person, because as I saw already, they are facing mostly the same problems, like, you know. So good luck for you.
Thank you very much, Deimante.
Okay, so thank you for having me first. So yeah, I really want to wish you to look over quality over quantity, because it's better to help one person than to just 100% just to see you and did nothing to them. But like, believe in yourselves, get over like quality, and not stay alone in this, and do not forget that the main point of view is that young person that you want to help. So like the main goal for everything is that youngsters, and sometimes we want to create so many stuff for them that we forget to ask them what they really want. So don't forget them, and just keep up with the good work. We're like I think we are all in this together. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good trainings.
Thank you very much. Applause, ladies, for your input. Andris, also thank you for your input in the session. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will now go to our break. Our suggestion would be to have a bit longer break, as today we will have only one break. So let's have 42 minutes of a break, which means that we come back at 12:35 Central European time, so in 42 minutes. And also during the break, visit the Facebook event to watch the video of the Deimantas Youth Center. We will also paste now in the chat a YouTube video for the ones who are not using Facebook. So also have a chance during your break to see the place where Deimante is working. Okay? So have a break, and after the break, we will be discussing networking, cooperation, and future projects. Okay, bye guys. So have a break and see you soon. Thank you, Agle. Thank you, Deimante, for being with us. And yeah, I'll also make a fast picture for us to share. Thank you. And for the second part, we plan to have several discussions with you. So no more inputs, but more for you a chance to discuss. We will start a bit with reflection and digestion of the morning session, and then we will go into the networking part. So already sharing ideas, sharing thoughts, and going into groups and thinking what is possible to do. So first of all, what we would like to invite you to do, not really you have a chance to say no, because we will split you into breakout rooms and send for discussion. So in the morning session, you heard the presentation of what is One Stop Shop Youth Center. And we also had several guests with whom we were discussing about future of youth work. I would say it was more an existential discussion with inputs of research, challenges, understanding a bit different realities which are happening. Was quite intensive discussion about sex bot and doing sex education with artificial intelligence, where people were reacting. So a lot of how to say, colors of the discussion and reactions. So we want to give you 20 minutes in small groups of 6-8 people to reflect. What are you taking from the discussion? What was interesting? To react, to comment, to give some examples from yours, and then where the discussion will bring, it's really up to you. Maybe it's spiritual paths in youth work. Maybe it's dealing with drugs and alcohol. Maybe it's dealing with rural territories. So I will split you into 5 groups. Zoom will automatically allocate you to those groups, and you should be 7-8 people in the group for the discussion, for the sharing. So reflect on the first 2 hours of the program, discuss, analyze, and also think, what are you taking from that part? Questions, comments, shouts of anger? Okay, good luck. We will be back in 20 minutes. So we'll close the rooms and we will invite you to come back. So rooms are open. Press the blue button and enjoy the discussion. It's as we say in Lithuania, you are telling the truth. So the discussion was really going very well. So it would be nice to hear a bit from all of you how it was, and then we will continue with other discussions about future projects, ideas, cooperations, and topics. So Ola, as you started, I will give you the screen to tell how was the discussion in your group.
Okay, thank you. I would try to be very concise. Yeah, so discussion was going very well. We all agreed at the end that we would like to have more time and still continue the topics. We started from the questions that you gave to us, but actually went on to a deeper discussion about youth work profession in general. And we talked, is it
a real profession? Is it recognized and valued? And of course, the conclusion is that it's not recognized and valued because it's so young, and we need to work on that. And give an example. And about the discussion that happened today, and in the first session, we all liked it. We talked a little bit about the differences of the speakers, that it's like two sides of the coin. One is from the bureaucratic apparatus and from the side of department, and another is the youth itself who had another experience. So yeah, this experience was also very important for us to hear. And one of our group members has a similar experience, that she was coming to youth center and now she's volunteering there. So that's short to that.
Super. Thank you very much. Who wants to share next? We have time, 2 more hours. We can wait.
Well, others are deciding, I can add a little bit more.
Okay.
Yes, so also important thing that we mentioned in our discussion was the connection and the relationship between a youth and youth worker, so that it's based on connection, on trust and respect.
Cool. Nice. Who's
So
next?
in our group, Barbara show us how they work in her work center, and it was very interesting because they collect what the youngers want to do, you know, and this I think was very interesting because they put in the paper all the things they want to do, how they want to do, and online or presential. So this is nice. I liked a lot. This is interesting for you learn, and you can develop the activities they really want.
Super, thank you. Whose voice we haven't heard it today yet?
So I can speak for my group. So our discussion was very great because at the very end, we just conclude that although every person heard the same experiences and heard the same people, they thought and they keep for themselves different things, important ones. So the discussion was interesting because we heard different perspectives, even we hear the same experience. So for me, for instance, my good points was hearing about the examples in Lithuania about the three kinds of work, youth work, like mobile, street work, and creating a youth center. Because for me as a Portuguese, our mind is very set to create a space and receive people in that space, even if that's not successful or not. But living in a rural area and have to deal with this kind of troubles, like with this kind of problems, like attracting people between 18 and 29 about environmental issues and environmental problems, I think it makes more sense to create like a mobile work or street work and dealing directly with the youngsters and understanding what the needs and why they are not coming to our activities, for instance. So for me, it's that kind of interesting points that I took off of our experiences, and my colleagues were discussing things like this kind of examples. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. According to me, also no one from group number 4 didn't speak. With Lina, Gennaro, Fernando, Novilla, Angel, and Anna. Someone from your group?
Well, I don't know if I can or I'm able to summarize what we discussed, I'll help Dovile and our friends to help me, please. Well, we quite discussed the difference between, mainly between in our countries, between the work we do and the kind of youngsters we have. And the difficulties they face. They are quite different, mainly from our colleague from Italy to the examples you presented us from Lithuania and also here in Portugal. Well, actually concluded that in Italy we have a strong difficulty with migrants and addiction problems. If I'm wrong, please correct me. And here in Portugal, specifically in my area, the biggest difficulty we find is how really to put youngsters into action. That means you have ideas, you have projects, you have everything. They say they want to come, that's cool, I'm going, and they then just don't appear. And that's the biggest struggle we are having here, at least in my area. Even though they identify themselves with our youth workers, and in the field I have youngsters like them, they have 20 something. It's not a question of a gap between ages, but we feel like, at least here, a big lack of commitment with what they agree to do, and then they just don't appear at all. We have a different concept of youth center, because you have a lot of facilities where they can go and be there. And for example, I don't have it here. It's us who go to be with them in the parishes and in the schools where they are. Dovile, and I'm not finding here my Italian partner. Have you something to add?
Yeah, and I was thinking we were talking a little bit about the pressure as well, that for youth, they really have a lot of pressure, what they have to do, and how they have to do, how they have to look, how they have to talk, where they have to go, and what's wrong, what's right. And sometimes it's, I think it's really too much for them. And what they really need, it's just nothing sometimes. To be, just to be. So
sometimes I have this idea, you know, that kid that have every choice he wants and then just doesn't want anything and feels sad. Sometimes I have that feeling with our youngsters.
You had a Jamboard in your group, yes?
Yes,
in our new.
No, we have it.
Oh, we have it. Sorry.
I was just making the notes for everybody. Like I said in the starting of our session, I think that maybe I didn't repeat. So I can share it.
Share, yeah, of course.
Yes. Wait. Do you see?
Yes.
Okay, so as my colleague said, like there was this thing that to let the things as they do, be as they do not push youngsters into things. It's not how much you do, it's just to be there for them and involve them with the curiosity of doing something. For example, starting to make an activity as a youth worker and just wait that they will ask you what to do and to join you. Then there was this thing that we discussed, that in Italy there is like a lot of second generation immigrants that feel split culturally. And then we discussed about the drug dealing in Roma community, and we just relate that to this kind of ghetto that it's happening in some places where these second generation immigrants or asylum seekers are not integrated with the locals, and so then most of the time they end up to drug dealing and stuff like that. And then we have this municipal plan made with youngsters in Portugal that was a very big, interesting thing. But as she said, the biggest problem is to break this passivity they have and involve the youngsters. And also we discuss about that when we ask what do you want to do, the usual answer is silence. So then we say that what you want to do is a question that is paralyzing. It's a paralyzing question also for adults, for anybody, because maybe to give them a lot of options and examples of what you want to do and what you don't want to do, it's kind of giving them the faculty of choice and helping them to develop these soft skills as decision and initiative. But anyways, even with the options, they usually struggle to take off this passivity. And yes, as Davile said, that let them board. And yes, we all connected with this, what you want to do. That is a question that is usually paralyzing them. And there was this thing about Italy, that we have this situation, at least in my region, I'm talking about my region, that from one side there are the refugees and asylum seekers, and from the other side there are some youngsters that in the last years are involved in this politics, getting to this youngsters plan of the city, youngsters councils, and they mostly are involved from these very right parties. They are kind of the young section of the right parties, and they're usually extreme right and xenophobic. So from one side, yes, it's very nice. They are active, they are politically involved, they want to have a voice. But from the other side, how to say, we have just this voice. And this is kind of dangerous, I would say. And in the idea of making a council in cities, this is a problem for me, in my opinion. If I just mistake something, I just ask sorry, because when somebody was talking, I was talking with my husband about a very serious thing.
Okay, thank you very much. So I want to thank all of the groups for sharing. Thank you for the ideas that you shared with others. Each time we hear from you that you need more time for discussion. So that's a nice thing to hear, that you reflect, you analyze, you share with each other. And also that's a thing for us to keep in mind, to give you a bit more space and not to rush into new topics without a chance for you to discuss with each other. Try to reflect about your own local context, explain to the others, share examples. So this is the beauty of international activities, when you can meet people from different countries and to see different perspectives. So Marius, the screen is yours.
Thanks a lot. Because we're afraid that maybe it's silence and you have nothing to talk about, so we keep giving you content. So yeah, maybe we should be a little bit more relaxed. But I saw that you kind of like Jamboards. When even we don't tell you to use them, you use them. So I'll give you a link now to another Google Jamboard, because we want to provide a little bit of possible structure for your discussion about further cooperation. It could be discussion about the topics or project ideas. We're not necessarily pushing you into topics or projects, but again, it's an opportunity to discuss in a bit smaller groups on what is interesting and what is most relevant to you at this moment. So I'm trying to, I see that you are coming little by little to this Jamboard. Do you see my screen? Nedis, do you see?
Yes, we see.
You can see, because I just only have one face now here. So we have three sheets for discussion. One is, what can you propose the topics to discuss, and project ideas, possible project ideas would you like to discuss in a smaller groups. And then we also have maybe you're looking for certain opportunities or topics For example, you were mentioning, possibility of job shadowing in a youth center in another country, but maybe you have a clear need of what kind of competencies you would like to build. So post here, right, on different post-its, and we will see if we could manage to bridge what you want to discuss and in what kind of topics or projects you would like to be involved. We would like to give you some 10 minutes to think and to write it down on the post-its in these 2 pages. And then we will look through and we'll try to create several Zoom chats, not Zoom chats, but Zoom channels where you can group together and discuss it today. Okay?
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So far, 21, 22 participants from 37 joined. So take your time. Think what would you like to share or what kind of insights you need. Yeah, some people maybe would like to continue discussing the professionalization or profession of youth worker, maybe something else.
Get your day's work done. Get your day's work done. Or see your face in the sun. Get your day's work done. Get your day's work done. Or see your face in the sun. Get your day's work done. Get your day's work done. work done. Get your day's work done. Or COB. Facing with the sun. Make friends today. Or leave it on.
So I already posted five ideas. The sexuality question was more about the gender, how to approach, and it's not so much about sexual education itself, but in general, all these topics related to that. How do we approach them? And actually, when we did Andres, you were running a session on creating bots, no? Or I'm mistaken, but actually we were surprised ourselves when a year ago we were doing a training course on digital youth work. Actually creating a chat bot is very, very easy, and there are quite many online tools. It's mainly thinking through possible questions which people can ask and giving some answers. So it's pretty easy. Let me go through the topics once again. And then I'm creating these 5 breakout rooms. And okay, so okay, so I opened up 6 rooms for discussions, so you can choose whatever topic you would like to discuss. And then again, we will be having the next few days kind of open spaces. So we can address all the questions which you still have or would like to address and discuss with other participants of the group. I would say let's give maybe half an hour for these discussions so that you don't feel the time pressure. But also, if you see that you're participating in one room but you would like to join the others, feel free to go to other rooms. But also, it would be nice if you could keep a little bit of track. What are you discussing? And you can use still the same Jamboard, but maybe in the last page on this, let's say, 3rd page for other notes, you can put a little bit of notes of what are you discussing in the groups. All right. So it's not automatically assigned. You need to choose which topic you want to go to and go. I'm looking at Luis. Luis, just go.
Trying to reflect which one is better.
Good. Mhm. It's still clear that people want to know how to engage youngsters in the youth center, but we will have also a session on that, on really how to ensure participation, use participatory methods.
People, if you need help to get into a room, tell us. We also can send you.
Would be nice if somebody joins UGNE in the rural youth work or situation.
Nerijus, that wouldn't be a sentence that we would use in a physical training course, you know, to help people get into the room.
Yes.
They have trouble.
Jirila, do you need help?
No, I just can't decide.
Louis is alone in sexuality, so someone can join.
For now. And that is, we need ideas from this green shift.
Green course. Okay, Živilė, Ugnė, and Barbora are talking rural youth.
Very good. So I'm stopping now the recording.